Randy Wilburn. I'm excited to be here today. I've gotten some great individuals, and for those of you that have been dealing with this COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic that we're all faced with here in Northwest Arkansas, I think it's important for us to try to encourage each other on a regular basis. And so today I had a chance to connect with Karen Wagaman, Vice President, Downtown Development for Rogers-Lowell Chamber of Commerce. And I also had a chance to connect with Raymond Burns, who is the President and CEO and window washer at the Rogers-Lowell Chamber of Commerce. Raymond does quite a bit, as he reminded me, and I really appreciate you guys just taking a few minutes out of your day to connect with me and kind of talk about some of the things that you guys are seeing up there in Rogers-Lowell, and I'd love to just get your take on where we are right now.
Andy, first of all, thanks for having us. I remember hearing you say just a moment ago, there's a beginning, middle, and end to what we're all going through right now. And I hope we're in the middle, moving towards the end. But my fear is we still have a long way to go. We have over 2,100 businesses that are a part of our organization, and every single one of them is being impacted by this in some way. Most of it is not really the most positive thing in the world for them. We're seeing layoffs. We're seeing people who are wondering how they're going to pay their rent, pay their utilities, much less pay their staff. And on the other side of that, though, we have some folks who are real heroes that are stepping up. We have restaurants that continue to open and do curbside. Some of those are better suited for carry out than others. Pizza is really popular right now, especially in downtown Rogers. Great place to go. I'm not sure that hamburgers are doing quite as well as they should, but I hear Parkside makes a pretty mean hamburger.
Yeah.
Some have closed, and some are just hanging in there. The one thing that I have seen that's definitely encouraging is that everybody seems to have a real team spirit. Everybody understands what they need to do to get through this. And even though it's very, very hard, we've got some really brave businesses out there, some of which who are probably not going to be able to open back up whenever this is finally over, who are doing their part by practicing social distancing. They're doing their part by supporting their staff as long as they possibly can, and they're reaching out to help in the community in every way possible.
Yeah, I think that's the general sentiment that I got. I mean, you guys are coming in on the heels of a conversation that I had with a number of leaders here in Northwest Arkansas yesterday, including State Representative Denise Garner, Gary Head from Signature Bank, Rolf Wilkin from Eureka Pizza, Jeremy Gothard from the Roots and the Woodstone, and we talked to a lot of people, and everybody is, kind of dealing with this situation the best way that they know how. I think, and for some, it does feel like maybe we got caught with our pants down because we weren't really prepared for how quickly this took over our lives, right? I mean, when you think of it, one week I'm traveling around going to visit clients, the next week I'm in my home with my kids, literally 24/7.
That is the harsh reality, I think, is 24/7 with the kids. I had my son reached out to me a couple of days ago and said he's chief cook, bottle washer, he's teacher, he's preparing school lunches, he's the school nurse, and they're driving him crazy. And I said, well, you can always take away their recess. And he said, oh gosh, no. I said, I need the break. No, we're going to let them have more recess. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you almost need that. And I just, and I kind of say that, actually there are always silver linings in everything, right? At least I always like to look at things as the glass is half full. And certainly for me, and I've talked to many other people, business owners and others that said, wow, I had a chance to have some unchecked, unfettered access to my kids like never before. So yes, there are some silver linings in there, but then you still have to feed those kids. You still have to provide for them. And I think that's the biggest challenge, especially for small business owners. And I think that, I saw the statistic yesterday that there's 57 million solo practitioners out there in the United States, which is like 1/6 of our population. That's a lot of people that are going to be affected. Yours truly is part of that. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out a number of different ways to make something happen. And it's just it is a real challenge. It definitely is. So
well, Randy, I'm sorry.
Sorry. So many of our members are in that same situation. We've got so many entrepreneurs, so many small business owners, and they work hard every day to be successful. They work hard every day to make an impact on their community. And they also are reaching out and stepping up and saying, how can we help? How can we help these kids who count on schools for meals? How can we help our churches who don't have attendance right now and are struggling, financially? So it's amazing that they're in that same situation, but they're among the first people to step forward.
Yeah. That was kind of the sentiment that I had, Karen, because when you don't know what to do, just try to help other people. And I think the rest of it will kind of work itself out. And that's really what I've been doing, and trying to partner up with people that are of like mind and are, not necessarily focused on their own current situation, but want to help other people. So you're absolutely right about that. Raymond, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say that, one of the things that really gives me great hope is that we live in a community and we live in a region that's used to working together, not working apart, and seeing everybody pull on the rope in the same direction right now is really heartwarming. Yeah. There are other areas of the country where working together is like a foreign language.
Wait, you're not talking about Capitol Hill, are you?
Well, I think Capitol Hill, that's a whole other topic. Capitol Hill just needs to do what they need to do to help not only individuals, but businesses.
Right.
I think right now they're stuck in an argument about whether it's about the worker or about the business. And I don't think people realize that they're one and the same.
Yes.
Businesses need workers need businesses.
Right. Yeah. No, it's definitely, it is a tough challenge right now. And I think that, every one of us is kind of faced with the same predicament. So we are, as you intimated, we are in this together. You're absolutely right about Northwest Arkansas. It's the one thing that I have seen over the last year of doing the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast is simply the spirit, the indomitable spirit here in Northwest Arkansas of helping others. It is about working with other people. There is a strong philanthropic movement in this area. So I suspect, and I was telling my wife this the other day, is that we will get through this, not unscathed, but I do think that we'll be the better for it. Because there'll be some natural alliances of people and organizations that will come together and work together, as I'm sure you're probably kind of talking with the Chambers of Commerce up in Bentonville and down in Fayetteville and in Springdale, and trying to figure out how can we help the small business owner, how can we help individuals that are severely impacted by this, so that we, when the time comes, we can all kind of run the same race together and not against each other.
That's absolutely true, Randy. We look out, and yesterday we visited with a number of folks that are in the hospitality industry, for example. We have some name brand hotels that are closing. We have hotels that may have had staffs of 100 or 200 or 400 who are down to a staff of 10 or 15 or less.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true in just about every business. A lot of national chains have closed. Some of the national chains are doing quite well, and they've adapted. Walmart is a great example. Not only have they adapted their hours to make sure the shelves can be restocked and done safely, but they're also hiring, 3,000 people in Northwest Arkansas, 150,000 nationally. Businesses like that will do what they need to do to help us get through this. They don't really have to hire people. They're doing less to put people to work. And granted, there's benefit to them, but they're out working for the community, just like every other small business and medium-sized business is doing right now.
Yeah.
It's amazing when you're worried about paying the rent that we're trying to figure out how to help our neighbors.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is certainly about am I my brother's keeper? And I think we all are. So that is a good point. I heard something shared the other day. Martha Londigan from Startup Junkie and some others have been pushing out this idea that one way that we can support local businesses is by, buying gift cards right now. Going online onto Google. And this is a new one that I just read this morning, which I thought was a great idea. And we don't do enough of that, is telling all the great stories about the businesses that we do interact with. So maybe taking like a half hour, 45 minutes and going through and doing a Yelp or Google review for a local business that you work with. I don't think people realize how important that social proof is for a business. And it doesn't sound like much, and it doesn't necessarily put any money in that company's pocket, but it does allow for an individual to really kind of help their narrative along in terms of the type of organization they are. And yes, I get it that a lot of businesses are closed right now, but there are still some that are open. And if you're interacting with any local businesses that is especially right now, that's serving your needs in a time that we're in, this pandemic, you should take a few minutes out just to give them a review online. If it's not a good review, then I would say don't do it at all. If you don't have anything good to say, like my grandmother used to say, don't say it right now, because there's no sense in putting salt in anybody's wound. But if you are having a really good experience, like I keep going into ONF, Ozark Natural Foods, down here in Fayetteville, and I mean, the reception that I receive every time I walk in there is amazing. The Starbucks workers on College and Township, and also at College and Joyce, just their attitude is just amazing. And I mean, the little places that I go and interact with individuals and businesses, I've really been impressed with. So I think that's just one small way that we can kind of give back to our local business community by giving them a positive review, thanking them for their efforts and for all that they're doing. I mean, the Domino's Pizza that I've dealt with, I mean, like you said, Raymond Pizza companies right now are probably as busy as they've ever wanted to be. Rolf Wilkin from Eureka Pizza said he can't, I mean, the phone doesn't stop ringing. So, I mean, there are some companies that are actually doing okay in this season, but for anybody else that you're interacting with, even if it's just over the phone and you've had a positive experience, you should just take a moment out to let them know about that. And if you can do it virtually through a review, I think it would go a long way. I don't know what you guys think about that.
We had that very conversation during our team meeting this morning. We met on Zoom. We've got a handful of people Raymond has in the office, and everyone else is working from home remotely. But that came up. Take this opportunity to showcase your favorite businesses. If you're out doing a drive-through, take pictures of the food, share something positive about that business and how they're still standing strong and serving our communities.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think, I mean, again, those are the little things that we need to do just to kind of keep it moving along. I would just be curious, and I would have to imagine that you guys are behind the scenes thinking about this. What is next? What is next for us in terms of how do we, we're now in May, and things are starting to come around, and a lot of the requirements for sheltering in place and all of that have gone away, even though we don't technically have that in this state. I was encouraged yesterday by the governor's news conference, which I've been watching every single day. And I don't know if you guys have watched it, but I got to say, Governor Hutchinson has done a really good job of transparency, of letting people know where things stand. And he's been like clockwork every day at 1:30 having his press event and sharing, where we are. But I was encouraged to know that we didn't have a huge number of new COVID-19 cases yesterday. I think we only had 7. And as of the recording of this particular episode, new ones compared to like the day before when we had like 30 something new cases. So I'm encouraged to see that, maybe things are slowing up. I don't really know, but I just, what are you guys thinking about in terms of how are you going to position yourselves to help and encourage these firms when the dust does settle?
Well, Randy, you make a great point, first of all, about the governor. And for some reason, he's moved to 2:30.
Oh, well, that's fine. Yeah.
He did yesterday. So for your listeners, I encourage you to listen to the governor every single day.
Yeah.
The way our system is set up, the governor's in charge.
Yep.
And if we shelter in place, or if we close a certain business or not, the local mayors do not have that authority.
Right.
Only the governor of the state of Arkansas has that authority. So we are all state managed. We are locally executed, and we're federally supported. We've heard that over and over again in the press conferences, but the governor has the ultimate authority in everything that we do. And Asa has done a tremendous job of communicating things that we need to know. He's had the right people at the podium at the right time. He stayed out of the political fray and given us the facts. And Arkansas is fortunate to have him. And I think people would do well to listen to his advice and listen to what he says. He's a very informed person. He worked for Homeland Security before he came back to Arkansas after he was in the House of Representatives in Washington. And so he's well trained and he's well versed.
Yeah.
I think that what we're looking at right now as an organization is the majority of our events happen in April and May, and we're talking about social networking events here. And while it certainly is a part of how we make our living, we're more concerned about how people's doors open and how they start turning a profit and getting back into business. So we'll see a lot of our social networking events perhaps go online. Zoom is a great tool. Everybody's learning how to use it.
That's it.
Even old guys like me.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll see the push from our organization is to trying to prepare folks for what comes next, either through SBA loans, and we've been working very closely with them, local banks who are charging interest only or are saying don't make your payment for a couple of months, or can we lower your payment, or whatever we can do. But the bottom line here, even with SBA assistance, at the end of the day, it can be very long term and very low interest, but people still have to borrow money.
Right.
Not everybody wants to take on debt. Not everyone's sure whether they can take on that long-term debt or not, but they are federally backed loans. So we'll see how all that goes. But I think we're preparing people to open back up. Right now, we're just trying to prepare people to stay open and be able to open back up whenever that time comes. And I think we're in this for several more weeks before we actually see the peak in Arkansas. The governor said the other day 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I think he said that Sunday. Before we see a peak of maybe about 1,000 people who are being treated in some way. I think we'll see days where those numbers go up tremendously, and we'll see days where they don't go up at all. Mostly people in clusters like nursing homes. I think as we get more testing, we're going to begin to see probably bigger clusters where people are in close quarters together. But social distancing so far from our perspective, from a business perspective, is working, although very harmful to business in terms of their bottom line. It's very helpful in terms of the healthcare and well-being of our state and of our community.
Yeah. And I like the idea that you mentioned. I think, some virtual, I know people are sending me all these invites for virtual happy hours now, right? And like literally you're getting like 20 and 30 people in a room where everybody has their own drink of choice, whatever that may be. And they just sit there and talk and encourage each other. And there's something about that human spirit of ingenuity and coming up with something that works. And I can only think that, man, maybe it would be something if like the chambers could come together and we start to have, more of these discussions where we're able to hear from a lot of the businesses and businesses can encourage each other through some type of event like that. So like you said, this is your biggest time frame for physical events. And since we can't really have those physical events, this may be an opportunity for us to create some virtual events that give people a platform to share what they're dealing with. Sometimes it's just worth it just to talk and let people know where they are. So I think that might be really helpful.
Yeah, we've been doing that. We have at least 3 different programs right now that are online, maybe more than that. I know the Central Referral Connection happens every Wednesday. And Jackie has taken that to an online version. Usually the in-person attendance is about 50 to 60 people every Wednesday morning.
Sure.
So I know she's continuing with that in an online version. We've got one of our C2C workshops coming up that's online, and the company, it happens to be a marketing workshop, and Blue Zoo is actually very adept at doing Zoom workshops. And so we might actually have a much bigger attendance than we've had when we've had it at the Aloft Hotel, where we usually have 20 or 23 people. So we're also taking the art walk to a virtual art walk this coming month in April. And we've already sent the email out. We've got artists participating. I've added all of the businesses that usually host a pop-up. I'm adding those as co-hosts. So hopefully they'll all be online on Facebook to take a look at that co-hosting opportunity and help support the artists that we've been doing this consistently since November 2017. And this will be the first time we haven't had an art walk. Yeah. So I thought, well, we can do it virtually. People may be more likely to participate. We're not worrying about the rain or the temperature.
Exactly.
So it's from the comfort of your own home. You can participate in the community. You can interact with the artists, and hopefully, find a new favorite.
Yeah, I love that. And that's actually how we met when you were doing the downtown art on the bricks, and I went down there and took the whole family and really had a great time. I mean, just spending time in downtown Rogers, it just reminds me of a idyllic movie set, if you will, of old town America and the way things used to be. But I think that's a phenomenal idea. Now, are all of those events that you just mentioned, are all of those events just open to Chamber of Commerce members, or are they open to the public?
They're open to the public. Anybody can participate. All of those events, all of those three are free. Okay. So yeah, no, it's open to everyone. And the Chamber also has, it's all on our website. Okay. Yeah, so if you go to Rogers-Lowell.com, you can look at our events page. Also on our homepage, we've got resources for small businesses available. So any small business, medium business, large business can access our website and find a lot of useful information. In particular to the COVID-19 resources. We want to direct people to that so they have an opportunity, and that's updated daily by our marketing and our economic development team in Raymond.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, that's it right there. I love that. I will definitely put that information in the show notes so people know where they can go. I think people, like I said, are just looking for information, and it sounds like you guys have captured a couple of really good ideas that you're expanding on, and certainly anything that we can do to help move that message out there, we want to do.
Yeah. Brandon's had an awful lot of meetings. He's meeting with everyone.
Yeah, I can imagine. So.
Virtually.
Yeah, virtually. That's okay.
We're keeping him at arm's length. But.
Yeah. Well, we'll all need a COVID-19 vacation when this is all over. That's for sure. So I suspect that people will figure out a way to kind of take a real breather, because a lot of people think, oh, well, everybody's home now, so you have a chance to rest. I've been working harder now than I was working before when I was going out, getting on an airplane or doing these podcasts. I mean, I've recorded so many podcast episodes in the last week. It's been unbelievable. And I've actually gotten a lot of really good ideas just talking to other people like yourselves. So I think that this is actually a time for us to kind of show that American spirit. When we're faced with adversity, we're able to overcome by the fact that, we ideate, we come together and help each other out. And in us helping each other out, we sometimes find solutions for ourselves.
We do, for sure, Randy. I would ask you, and I know it's your show, but I'm going to ask you anyway. You've talked with a lot of people over the course of the last week. What's that one thing that you think? What's one thing that you're hearing in common? Because we're always looking for ways that the chamber can be of greater help. What advice do you have for us? What's the one thing we could do that would really make a difference right now?
I think maybe kind of being on as many social media channels as possible to push your information out, not relying on just one. Everybody doesn't live on a website, especially younger, smaller businesses that are more nimble are using a variety of social media platforms, even Snapchat, even, TikTok. I mean, you'd be surprised, where people are. And that's the thing that I've been amazed at, is that people are having these conversations on a variety of platforms. So I don't think we should be stuck in our ways with, just staying used to one or two platforms that we feel comfortable with. I think we need to figure out, okay, where are people? And then wherever they are, that's where we need to be. And a couple of people that I follow all the time that have this, what they call be everywhere mantra. I can't think of a better time for us to try to be everywhere with regard to our information. And it's something that I was telling the folks at Mercy Hospital and other places that, some people are just never going to read a press release. It's just not going to happen. But there are other avenues and platforms for us to share this information. So I think we need to be nimble in how we're exchanging and pushing out information. And so even just you guys participating on this podcast with our audience, that reaches a group of people. And then somebody in that audience is going to tell somebody else and say, hey, you should hear what these guys, what Raymond and Karen had to say at the Rogers-Lowell Chamber of Commerce. And then it kind of extends itself there. So, I think you guys are doing it. And my encouragement would be is to continue to do it. The other piece would simply be, we do need to have a game plan for when the dust settles. And it's not so much that you have to dot every I and cross every T, but I think we need to have a good idea about how do we move this thing forward? How do we help, several of the small businesses that have shuttered? How do we help them jumpstart? So it'd almost be like, what can we do to help a business that literally had to close up shop, like a Jeremy Gothrop's when he had to close up Woodstone and send 70 people home? How do we help them jumpstart it so that when we do get the okay, and when Governor Hutchinson says it's okay to kind of resume life as we knew it, that we're able to, within a short period of time, I think he said he could turn his restaurant around in about 3 days after sanitizing and all that and get it up and running, but it's still bringing all those people in, right? And how do we maintain that? So I think those are the conversations that need to happen. And I think a lot of those should happen and be directed from the Chamber of Commerce, because you guys are so influential and you reach such a wide breadth of people, and you have a big mailing list too. So there's that.
Yeah, Randy, I appreciate that. That is great advice, and it reminds me of skate to where the puck is if you want to win in hockey.
That's right. That's right.
That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I hope we're doing a good job with it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I still worry not just about the 2,100 businesses that have put their faith in our chamber, but about the other 2,100 businesses who haven't, because they're going to need us probably more than the ones who are members. And
yeah,
we've got to figure out a way to help those folks to get the resources. The best thing, the best resource that I can say that is out there right now is for your personal protection. Is the Arkansas Health Department has a website,
right,
and the CDC has a website, and those ought to be out there for businesses. The United States Chamber of Commerce has a really great website. It has CDC guidelines, but it also has small business assistance, and then the Rogers-Lowell.com website. And I realize not everybody clicks on a website, but with social media being what social media is, which is based on fact, but it's also based on people's opinion.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we have to go back to the source.
Right.
And the source of all knowledge right now is the CDC, the health department, the local chambers of commerce, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce. If you're a business, the Small Business Administration also has a website, and all of those are linked on every website I just mentioned.
Yeah.
I hope people will get listening to your podcast. Obviously, you've got some really good information. I hope you'll continue to push people out to those reliable sources that are out there that are fact-based, because we really need people to get the right information, and we also need people to interact on social media, and we need to do a better job of getting that information out on social media. And I can see right now that Karen is really busy tweeting, texting, or doing something.
Taking notes, as always.
She's doing it the old-fashioned way with a pen,
right.
but getting it out to everyone in every way possible.
Yeah. No, that's it in a nutshell. I think you kind of captured it in its essence, and that's what we need to do. I think that we're all in this together, and yes, there are going to be some casualties from this event. I mean, that's just the way life is. But even for those, and I want people to hear me very clearly, if you end up being a casualty, meaning that your small business doesn't survive because of this, doesn't mean that you can't dust yourself and pick yourself up and get right back on the horse and do it again. And these folks that I'm talking to right here, Raymond and Karen and others on their team, will certainly be there to help you, because that's what they do. And so I really want to encourage people that, yes, I get it, that some of you have closed your doors and you're not opening it up again. Doesn't mean you can't start something new. And sometimes we need a reboot, right? I mean, there's something to be said for that. So I want this to be an encouragement. I mean, 13 failures before Colonel Sanders at the age of 65 got his 11 herbs and spices together. So, we sometimes forget those little stories, and it's never too late. Some of you might be listening to this and you might be in your 50s or 60s and you're concerned that, you'll never be able to turn around and start a new business. I can tell you, I can run off a list of people that have started businesses in the second half of their lives that made a difference. And because of the fertile ground and environment that we're in here in Northwest Arkansas, being anchored by 3 really rich and really vibrant companies in Tyson, Walmart, and JB Hunt, there are all kinds of opportunities. So I just want people to hear me say, don't give up. In the immortal words of Winston Churchill, never give up, never surrender. So even if you fail in this moment, it's not a lifetime of failure. It's just, this is a once in a lifetime event for all of us, even on this Zoom call. Nobody here has experienced what we're going through right now. So there was no real playbook for it. I think the playbook is that we just can't give up.
Great advice.
Yeah. So, well, Raymond, I really appreciate you coming on. Karen, thank you so much as always. You've been a dear friend, and I'm so glad I met you, and we've been able to connect on so many levels. I really appreciate everything that you guys are doing at the Rogers-Lowell Chamber of Commerce, and I will do everything that I can to continue to support you through the platforms that I've been given and that I've been blessed with. And so I really appreciate you guys. So I'll let you get back to work today. And I'm going to get this out and share this with our local audience here. And certainly you guys can feel free to push it out on social media as well. But thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Have a great day.
Hey, appreciate you. Well, there you have it, folks. Another quick episode. This was a special I Am Northwest Arkansas episode where I really wanted to connect with the folks at the Rogers-Lowell Chamber of Commerce. I care about what's happening in all of the major epicenters of Northwest Arkansas, Bentonville, Rogers, Lowell, Springdale, Fayetteville, Siloam, whatever's happening in those areas. I think we're all intricately related. So let's just continue to support each other in any way that we can. Positive words of affirmation and letting folks know that this too shall pass, which has been my new mantra. That's what I'm telling everybody. We will get through this, and I think we'll be stronger because of it. Some of us may end up saving more money than we've ever had in our lives before, but there's always good that can come out of challenges like this. So I really appreciate you guys listening to this episode. Please share it with a friend that may need to hear a word of advice, a word of encouragement, just some solid information based on what Raymond and Karen just shared. And we really appreciate it. I will be back with another special episode very soon. As I said earlier, I am burning up the Zoom lines with interview after interview after interview. So I'm only one person, and it takes a lot of time to edit these. So just be patient with me, but I will have these out for you. And I really appreciate you that are listening and spreading the good news. So that's all for today. I will catch up with you very soon. Bye for now.